We have a whole bunch of Brood War tournament number 5 matches that we can do. So this one's going to be Genesis versus Maris. And this one's going to be on Radeon. Yeah, so I think we're at Brood War tournament number 15 right now that are ongoing. There's always a ton of tournaments that are happening at once. Oh, that's weird. Shift tabbing makes them both red. All right, we're going to do natural colors. So anyway, up here in the top right, we have Mars. Mark Q is how he is identified on this. Terran in the top right. And then Genesis, our orange Terran, in the top left. 4-player map. The eggs, no obstacles in the main ramp, but obstacles here at the natural expansion choke. And then the triangle third also has a gas, not a mineral only expansion or anything like that. So a lot of, when we talk key terrain, especially on TVT on this map, it ends up being this portion right here. Like controlling this intersection is absolutely huge. You're going to see probably, I would guess, a lot of tank lines kind of extending from this location. And that's in order for a player to get this third base. And then once this third base is up, a lot of fighting occurs right here. And then contesting the fourth base ramp right here. So I don't even know what they're talking about. They're just sitting here chatting away. Which is how you know they're good. If you can type a whole conversation while boosting your minerals, good on you. So we have an initial barracks, supply depot. Probably see a barracks going down here soon for Maris. Boom, there we go. And also, this isn't a finals match. I forgot what it was. We'll have to go back and I'll see what it was. Where they're at in the bracket. But it is a best of 3. So this series is just a best of 3. And it's TVT, so everyone buckle up. Get some snacks. Get some coffee. Might take a while. Right, both players just getting up some gas. Imagine we'll see some immediate factories going down. What I'm curious about watching TVT is seeing how many Marines they make early on. As little as 0, as much as like 4. Who knows? A little bit of a later scout going out for Maris, and no scout going out for Genesis as of yet. So Genesis is actually pumping Marines. Right now he's pumping out his second Marine. And he's opting to build his second supply depot down in the wall. So first factory going down for both players. Second Marine going out for Maris. And it might just stop at 2. 2 Marines is a good number for shooing away SCVs particularly. Okay, we have enough for another factory. So a second factory is going down for Maris. But we've seen gas pull here from Genesis. So Genesis is going to be expanding after his initial factory. And this does leave him a little bit vulnerable early on, right? So if Maris decides to go 2 factories, starts pumping out a bunch of vultures, he can run these over and easily overwhelm these Marines. Barracks float did start a little bit earlier for Genesis. He's going to be able to get over there and he's going to be able to see that there's no expansion. His SCV hasn't made it over there yet either for awareness. So Maris has confirmed the location and what's going on with Genesis to an extent. But Genesis is a little bit in the dark. Okay, so this is going to confirm for him that there's no natural expansion for Maris and that his barracks is also floating. Alright, so Genesis moving out with 2 vultures. So Maris came over with 1, I think. I don't think there was a second one. And it got beat up pretty bad. So right now this is looking pretty good for Genesis. But there's going to be 2 more vultures on the way. And with these Marines, these vultures aren't going to be able to do a whole lot. He brought up a couple SCVs to help as well. And they're going to come up here, get in the face of the vultures, really screw up their pathing and ability to get up this ramp. And Maris is going to be able to push this away. Alright, so a little vulture scuffle. But not dying immediately to any type of vultures from Maris is allowing Genesis to get this expansion up and saturated much earlier. So he's going to be at an economic lead here. He just needs to ramp up the production to keep up with the 3-fact vultures that is about to be coming across the field. Not to mention speed's about done. So speed's going to be finishing right now. And now here is a bunch of vultures that are coming across now. So he's going to need to definitely pull some SCVs to help deal with this, I think. Alright, here come the vultures. Killing a couple SCVs, getting these other vultures down for Genesis. And now it seems like free reign. Maris is going to start clipping off these SCVs left and right. This vulture's coming down with the SCV support, is able to make it a little bit more of a fair fight. And that is going to survive that initial vulture push. Now 4 more coming in is going to be able to wipe out that last vulture for Genesis. And here he comes. He's going to just come up here and start killing SCVs. He's getting up into the main. 4 factories all pumping vultures at once, though. The defender's advantage really going to be the key here for Genesis to survive this early bout. Now, this SCV damage does suck for Genesis, but because he has the second command center, he is going to be able to reconstitute this worker count a bit faster than like if, you know, and get back to the count that Maris is at. But man, Maris continuing with these vultures. He's going straight for the workers again in the main, just picking off SCVs down to 16, make that 15. And Genesis is continuing to just target the vultures with his own. And he is slowly building up a little bit of a vulture superiority. He does have 4 factories. Over here, there's only 3 off of 1 CC. So I actually like Genesis's position here. He's down SCVs, though. But in order for Maris to capitalize on that, he either needs to make more factories or he needs to expand. And right now, Genesis isn't looking to really let him off the hook. I think he's going to come out here with his vultures. He's going to probably try to push this. Now, good line set up here from Maris. It's going to come down to who can get that initial volley off. So what do we have? We've got 9 versus 10. Well, 10's more. All right, initial volley does go to Genesis, but Maris is coming in, target firing the vultures one at a time, and cleaning them up in detail. Still sitting at 7 to the, what, 3-2 remaining? All right. Wonderful vulture back and forth. Love to see it. And we also have the armory going down. Where was it? Right here. So if we can start getting upgrade superiority for Maris as well, that's going to help a ton. Now he's back in here, continuing to fire down these vultures and pick off SCVs where he can. This is going to be a little bit more economic damage. Now, Genesis had closed the gap to only 8 as opposed to 10, but that's still pretty significant at this point in the game. And continuing to lose them is definitely not a feel-good moment for Genesis. Genesis doing what he can, firing back, getting the SCVs in the fight, doing a good bit of damage. The SCV is really coming in clutch there. Gonna get this repair off, try to fix up this vulture. Still trying to pump out 4 at a time and get those SCVs back up. So worker deficit still at 10, and now there's a natural for Maris. Maris's position, I would say now, is superior. He also has +1 on the way and siege mode. This is a little bit tough. I'm curious to see how Genesis recovers from this, because Maris just is being unrelenting. And yeah, possibly, I see your comment in chat. There definitely is very strict patterns of play in Brood War. And there's a few ways that like these mirror matchup openings can go. Like in the last series that we saw, it was ZVZ. And it was really, you know, a combination of things. It was like who can make the most Zerglings early on, or who can get Mutalisk first. Very similar here. We just saw both players doing pretty much the same thing, which is who can have more vultures. As soon as a tank makes it on the field, though, the math completely will change. But what I do like is even though there's only vultures on the field, because Maris has mines upgraded, he's at least putting mines here for when tanks do arrive. And that's going to definitely slow down the advance a little bit. And you might as well use them, right? If you have them, expend the mines before you go in. Put them somewhere. Okay, Maris now preparing his SCVs for a counterattack. Genesis doing the same thing, just covering the ground in mines. Maris sieging up on the high ground. Did get his 4th factory up, but now he also has a starport building wraiths. And this can be dangerous for Maris. We'll see how long he waits to expose the wraith's presence. I don't know if he'll build them up to a certain number before he moves them across. This barracks is still here. It'll, likely see any wraiths come out. I don't think that it sees the starport. No, it just sees the ramp. But we also have a science facility. Goliath's going down for Maris as just some anti-air. And a second starport being made. Look at that mini-map. Look at all these mines from Genesis. It's insane. Okay, so he opted not to wait and build up any type of numbers. So he has one Wraith he's going to come across, and he's going to start trying to pick off SCVs. This is triggering getting his own starport, getting his armory for Genesis, getting an engineering bay to enable building some turrets. And this Goliath's going to knock out this barracks. Which is really frustrating to have to rebuild if you want to increase your factory counts or anything like that. Alright, Vulture's cleaning up. It looks like going this route, Maris is looking for opportunities to either sneak into Genesis's base and also keep an eye and see if there's any hidden expansions. Get an idea of where his opponent's at. It's been a while since he's really been out and about. This Wraith doing work. It's got 6 kills. Holy cow. He's sitting here tearing up this this turret. Now this would take absolutely forever. Kind of surprised he's not shooting at the SCV. Alright, turret's going to shoo this Wraith away if it doesn't just kill it outright. Does kill it. And Genesis has tanks out on the map. But tanks can't shoot up, and this Wraith is going to be chasing it all over the place. Engineering bay going down for Maris. Maris getting +1 armor and a second armory now that his science facility is up. It's going to allow him to get 2/2 upgrades. And his tank count is just looking really healthy. He's also getting a science vessel. Science vessel is going to be really helpful in cleaning up all these mines. Going to be able to detect them. All right, control tower going down. Now the control tower has me a little curious. I'm wondering if Genesis is thinking more drops. And using the Goliath to fight off any Wraith pressure. Still sitting at 4 factories for both players. 2 with machine shops for Maris. And he is able to get his vultures all the way over here. Went around the entire map. And he's going to come in here and he's focusing on SCVs. Going to clean up more. This SCV deficit is going to start being a problem. It's at 27 to 40. And you can see now the science vessel's out, detecting all these mines, and these siege tanks are just going to work. Clearing them all out. But it still buys Genesis precious, precious time to deal with this guy. It must be Maris's. And there's no anti-air up here either, so the science vessel is just going to be able to move completely with the army. Alright, so Genesis is likely going to lose a lot of vultures here to these tanks. And this is kind of that intersection I was talking about, right? So would not be surprised if Maris, if he doesn't continue to just push all the way across, sets up a strong point right here and uses that to get that third base up and running. But it does look like he's pushing with a good amount of his force. Going to be able to knock out a couple of tanks. Now there are Goliaths here, so any type of Wraith pressure, the Science Vessel being around, good D matrix there on that forward tank that's just taking a bunch of shots. Getting some vision over here, so he'll be able to shoot back. And waiting on +2 weapons. Now, Genesis is sitting without upgrades at the moment. So Maris's army is looking very, very scary. Now, let's go ahead and look at Genesis's base. So he's trying to mine up his third. 4 factories. Did have to rebuild his barracks up here. And he's taking his third now. So if he can survive this push and get that third up and running, that is Genesis's way back into this game. But he does need some anti-air. More tanks being produced. Don't see any Goliaths on the field. The one saving grace here is that it takes an absolute lifetime for a Wraith to plink through a tank. We do see a dropship here for Maris. And a Goliath shows up. The dropship's not being really paid attention to, unfortunately. We'll see if it flies into the main or... Okay, it's just going to drop on top of this tank. Too close for siege mode. Going to get some good damage here. These tanks a little out of position. They are moving up. They're going to be taking out a good amount of these vultures. Does sneak a tank in there. Underneath this engineering bay. Makes it impossible to click on. Oof, this is looking rough for Genesis. Okay, but that third base is down. Now, it's not saturated. There's no workers there as of yet. There is a 5th factory now for Genesis. And he's starting to build some turrets up here around his main. Now, he needs to get any turrets that he wants built done now, since the engineering bay did just go down. So no more turrets going to be coming until that gets rebuilt. Another solid D matrix here. And now Maris is aware of this third base, and so he dropped on it. That is going to be denied for the time being. And the Science Vessel providing good vision, allowing these siege tanks to shoot up, does take out that turret. Okay, so Genesis is going dropships. I'm curious what he's going to be able to sneak in. There are wraiths on the field, so it is kind of scary. Dropships might be used for dropping vultures on top of tanks, getting them to siege each other. And this is just really kind of rough. There is a high ground advantage, but these shots just aren't missing. And Genesis doing what he can to stay in this game. Now, Genesis has finally surpassed the worker count of Maris. Maris looks like... oh, I thought this was actually an SCV about to build a third, but it's really just an anti-drop protection measure. Alright, we've got ourselves a game. But this is a pretty tough contain. I'm really curious to see how Genesis is going to break out of this. So he is loading up vultures in his dropship. Wraith over here, just for awareness. He does have wraiths on the periphery for Maris. And the wraiths are coming in. They're going to start shooting some of these tanks. Yeah, I don't think he's seen this dropship yet. It looks like he's ferrying down to the low ground. These vultures and everything haven't seen what's going on over here either. Okay, now he's in siege mode of this supply depot, which is annoying. And he's building turrets outside the main of Genesis. Now, Genesis has rebuilt his engineering base, so he can start turret production again if he wants to. And I'm curious how much he's going to ferry down here and what like his trigger point is going to be to move out. Don't forget, a lot of these mines, these are all Genesis's. So if he moves out with these tanks a little too hastily, the mines are going to do a pretty significant amount of damage. But it does look like Maris has seen this little force over here. Ooh, good job there from those mines. Just wipe out this little force that was coming down. And he does get a siege tank down here on the third base location. So a bunch more tanks coming in from Maris. Maris getting that third base up now. Still sitting at 4 factories, it looks like, and 2 starport production. All right, Genesis making a move here for the third base. Getting that CC flying over. Goliaths in production, tanks in production. All right, little fight here. It looks like this this dropship dropped 4 vultures that were shooed away by Genesis. All right, solid breakout there. Now these tanks are definitely going to be a little bit of annoyance, especially this Wraith. Trying to get a missile turret down, but this SCV is going to die. He's going to have to pull another one. But with 2 of them building at a time, this will shoo away the Wraith. It'll get done eventually, especially if the Wraith is shooting at the turret. All right, now it does look like Genesis is bringing a force in. I don't know if he's going to try to clear this base completely or just set up a contain. And Genesis is continuing to be forced to ferry units from the main down here because of how many tanks are sitting here in the middle. Okay, bringing the engineering bay for some vision. That is going to push back these tanks a little bit, but Maris did build a missile turret here, so it's not going to be able to go too far. And it looks like a little bit of a contain is set up. Okay, so he didn't just move straight in. More reinforcements coming across from Maris. Maris taking a 4th down here in the form of this main base and getting a 2nd armory. Speaking of, let's go ahead and check on upgrades. We got 3-2 and 2-0. So Maris's army sitting, excuse me, very pretty on upgrades. Pretty significant deal. Oh my gosh, look at this ferry of SCVs. We are saturating that third base, ladies and gentlemen. I like the discipline of keeping these Wraiths up here. Looks like Maris is mining all the additional expansions. Making sure Genesis doesn't slip out. And he's in a position where he can really kind of starve Genesis out if he's unable to break this containment. And this containment's only getting stronger and stronger. Right now, Genesis is producing 3 tanks at a time to the 2 of Maris. He has a lot to catch up on, but you know, to be honest, the supply is even. Now, Genesis has a lot of workers, so the standing army for Maris is much larger. The upgrades are much better. So I would say Maris's army is better, but I don't think that he could just run in here and kill Genesis either. Genesis is slowly creeping back into this game. Getting another factory, bringing him up to 6. 5th and 6th going down for Maris. And also it looks like Maris is accumulating some dropships of his own. And I think that there are potentially some weaknesses, some threads that he could fly through to get some significant doom drops up into this base. Vultures coming into Genesis's third. Oh, the mines just did so much damage and basically cleared this third base of tanks. I think that's going to provide the window of opportunity that Maris was looking for to start creeping in on this position, kind of like a boa constrictor, you know, just like slowly choking it out. Now more army being ferried in from Genesis, more tanks replacing the old ones. Okay, now these tanks are really bunched, but they're there, so anything that gets in vision is going to die immediately, but any shots on this are also going to hurt a lot. Some good Goliaths being placed as well. This is going to help with any of those like vulture drops. So like if it was just these tanks and like you drop a vulture right there, these tanks would blow themselves up. So Genesis putting in a lot of work with these dropships. Has mined out his natural and his main, by the way. So the only mining base he has is right here. So yeah, he's got 60 workers, but they're not mining as efficiently as the 44 for Maris right now. Another CC is built, prepared for another expansion. Tough spot for Genesis, and this never feels good in a TVT either. Oh my gosh, just barely sneaking by without these Wraiths knowing the Goliaths are going to be able to pick them off, no problem. Good siege position up here on the high ground. This is... We're getting in a position where Genesis may actually be able to like isolate this army. And at the very least take this fourth base. Man, Genesis has had to fight for every base he's gotten. Look at this. Look at this huge SCV drop. Okay, but we got a drop coming here as well from Maris. This one is targeting right here on this third. I wonder if he's going to drop a 4. If he's going to pile in here. No, he's going straight for the kill. Oh, man. It looks like the drop AI just was not being friendly. That can happen sometimes. You go to drop and like there's no space or something, so the dropships just give up. They're like, I don't feel like it. So lost a lot of dropships. That drop ended up not doing much at all, and that gives Genesis a pretty superior supply lead. Okay. But Genesis needs to defend this base. He's getting turrets built. This should help a lot. And turrets down here for Maris. Maris is taking the natural down here in the bottom right. Oh man, this is such a TVT. I don't know where these scans are happening. A third starport. 6 factories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factories still for Genesis. 1 starport. Maris is getting BCs though. BCs, Yamato Cannon. This can be his method of breaking these positions. And I think by the time those BCs come out, Yamato Cannon's done, I think this base might be the target. He picking up or dropping off? What's he doing? Oh, looks like he might be trying to launch into the natural, into the main here. There's a lot of turrets, though. Not all these dropships are going to make it home. Trying to skirt around the edge as tightly as possible. All right, here we go. Here he goes for the push. Going into the natural. Dropship's taking tons of hits, but most of the payload coming out. And that eliminates the turrets that were there. Huge siege, but oh my goodness, here comes the battle cruisers. Now the Goliaths are going to work on the first one. Might even take it out. No, not dead. They're chasing. The battle cruisers focusing down the Goliaths. This is doing some good damage though. But the battle cruisers are going to clean this up. Once that last Goliath goes down, the rest of these tanks are just going to get annihilated. Alright, so now he knows BCs are on the field. And we're seeing the Goliath production really kind of ramp up. Now he's going to just take what he can with these tanks and push them straight into the main. And there's nothing up here except for the BCs. They're going to be able to get some damage, but there's not any SCVs up here anymore. If he can start knocking out either the production or some of the supply depots, that would help. The supply depot's already below full saturation. He's targeting the starports. I like that. I don't think it's going to go down, though. I think with this many BCs, these tanks, they're going to get wiped out. Yeah. So close. Does kill that control tower. And yeah, that does stop that. Nope, doesn't stop the BC from building. I was wondering if it was queued, if it would continue building. It looks like it does. I guess you just can't queue another one. All right. So that was a pretty sick drop. But now we're at the point where Maris is pumping out battle cruisers 3 at a time. Genesis is getting as many Goliaths as he can. He's loading up in his dropships because this contain is still here. This contain that has been here all game is still just causing such problems for Genesis. Luckily, he's been very effective with his dropships and really fighting for these additional expansions. But each of these expansions are really operating as islands, and you can just see like super tightly packed tanks and like a couple Goliaths are really all he has. Now I'm pretty sure a Yamato cannon on its own knocks out a turret. So with the BC count getting to what it is, these turrets aren't going to last very long. There's 6 BCs right there. Oh, 2 more factories down here in the bottom right. I didn't even notice that. And another base going up for Maris. I think there's just too much. Here comes the Yamatos. Boom, turret, yep. And the dropships are like, nope. Alright, so he's going to go for another Doom drop here in the main. Now, he knows that he's already cleared this. He knows that he killed the engineering bay. There's likely not any more turrets that have been built since he was last here. And he's coming in for a second visit. And this time, he's bringing a lot of Goliaths. And here we go. Let's see what Genesis can do. He's coming in. He blows up a barracks. Knocks a BC right as it comes out. Now they're... Oh my gosh. Maris GG's. Holy cow. You know, I did not expect that. That was a great comeback from Genesis. That was a phenomenal game. All right, Genesis takes that first game in style. Pure dropship play. That was incredible. There's so many BCs on the field. This contain was here the entire time. GG Genesis. All right. Let's go into round number 2. And you know what? I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to look at how long round number 2 is. And I might take a quick break just to get something to drink. You know what? We'll watch it. We'll watch it. All right, this one's on Death Valley. The weirdest map ever. We'll talk about it a little bit. All right, let's see if Shift Tab is better this time. Nope, they both show up as red. All right, we're doing purple and brown. Great, on this wonderful orange map. So what we've got here on Death Valley is we have Maris, who lost last round, but had a really good, very strong game. Had pretty much the whole map, had a huge contain, had a bunch of BCs. I don't know if that game continued, what it would look like. Probably a whole nother hour or so, but ended up GGing. I mean, it was like 40 minutes at that point, but definitely played very strong. Up here in the top left, this is Genesis. He took last round with some crazy drops. That last Doom drop with all those Goliaths that were just one-shotting BCs was spectacular and unexpected. The map itself. So the map is a 2-player map. You have this top left location and the bottom right that we just saw. And what makes this map really funky is pretty much everything. You have these assimilators that go down into the natural. And if you blow up the assimilators, you have geysers. Geysers are bigger than assimilators. So you can effectively seal this off by killing the assimilators. The natural itself has a gas. That's cool. Pretty natural. Normal natural. Over here you have what's generally considered the third base, and it is blocked by a series of mineral patches. Now these mineral patches have 48 minerals each, so it takes a little bit to mine through them. Now a lot of players will glitch workers through this, which you can do, and it's completely acceptable, and build over here. Now if you continue to look at this map, it's split into like 2 zones. So right here from the top left corner to the bottom right corner is pretty much impassable terrain. You have this hole, you have a bunch of cliffs, you have these cliffs, and so you can't walk from the top right portion to the bottom left portion, right? So the entire bottom left, where the vast majority of the expansions are, can only be reached through these minerals. So what we see a lot on this map is a lot of flyers, a lot of drops, a lot of shenanigans where people will come down here and like set up stuff outside your base, or drop into these like larger dead areas of the opponent's base right here that you're not necessarily paying attention to. So cool map, but it opens it up for a lot of weird janky moves that you don't always see. All right, let's zoom in a little bit. Cool, so we've got barracks down, second supply depot. Pretty fast factory here from Maris. Very good factory timing. Factory coming down for Genesis. Genesis opting to build his 2 Marines, block the assimilators. Same for Maris. Is sending an SCV to scout. Now, he wouldn't be expecting an expansion yet. He's going to try to get in here. He's going to see 2 Marines and a 3rd. And it looks like 2nd factory. So 2 factory play from both of our Terran players. We're going to see likely very heavy, I mean, just like a lot of TBTs in like last game, very heavy Vulture play. And it's all going to take place up here in the top portion of this map, this top right portion. So we have the initial Vulture. And it looks like Mars is just going to send it right across. Just yeet it straight at Genesis. 3rd barracks going down for Genesis. Now, if you remember last game, Genesis went 1 factory expand last game, and it kind of slowed him down a little bit. And Maris had a pretty significant Vulture advantage for the early portion, and it did a lot of damage to Genesis's economy. And that's really what allowed Maris to set up that contain last time. So it looks like Genesis is trying to alter his build a little bit, go the 3 factory route to prevent that from happening. Just ensuring that he has the Vultures necessary to take care of what Maris is going to send his way. So Maris was able to get those Vultures, 2 of them out very quickly. Genesis opted to get his machine shop right away, and so his Vulture production is coming in a little bit later, but he's got the 3 factories and will catch up very quick. He's already got the 2. There's 3 out here, but he's got a few Marines where Maris only made 2. All right, Maris is floating his barracks over. It's not uncommon for players as well to use the barracks to float over this 3rd base and just keep an eye on those minerals. So we'll see if he ends up doing that. All right, wow, we have pretty big push here from Genesis at this point in the game. 6 Vultures, 3 Marines. He's just going to come right up here. Now 5 Vultures, 4 Maris. But with these Marines and the DPS that they do, it's actually providing a pretty significant advantage to Genesis right now. Genesis is just walking through these Vultures. Maris trying to do the micro that he can, bringing his own Marines up. But that's that. Maris GG's. Alright, so I guess Genesis wins 2-0 in this best of 3 series. Now, I'm pretty sure they submitted a 3rd game. Let's go ahead and check. A lot of the players like to play them all out. No, they did not. Alright, so that's that. And let's go ahead and check. So this was the upper bracket round 2. So Maris will now be knocked down into the lower bracket, and he will finish out Brood War Tournament number 5 in the lower bracket, and Genesis will continue on in the upper bracket, and we'll have to see where that goes, but not tonight. That is enough for me. 2 mirror matches. The next thing that we will cast will be Javi versus Styx in the lower bracket. This match taking place at the same time that the Genesis Maris match took, and then after that we'll do the losers bracket, the lower bracket, round 3 when I get time. There's a ton of these things to catch up on. But yeah, have a good night, and thanks for watching.